Hello everyone, I'm here today to show you or share with you my medieval inspired prayer journal. I don't want to talk too much about religion other than to talk about the symbolism, the medieval symbolism, just briefly here that is on the cover, because I'm sure people are kind of curious as to what that is. I don't want to share any religious beliefs or anything on my YouTube channel other than to say I grew up in a Christian home on one side of my family, a Roman Catholic home on the other side of my family. Today I am Christian. I go deep into Bible studies, and this represents a prayer journal that is for my private, personal, family kind of prayers that I can leave to my kids. I also take a lot of notes that aren't always shared in church settings. I learn about things in the Bible that aren't always shared in a church setting. And some of that stuff that I learn, I feel is not necessarily important, or I guess it could be important to some people, but it's just stuff that is not commonly shared that I want my children to know so that they can make an educated or informed decision in terms of, whatever. So that's it for the religious discussion aspect of it. I'm not wanting to talk anything about religion in the comments. If I say something wrong or if I say something that you don't agree with or whatever, just keep it to yourself. This is genuinely just about sharing this medieval inspired art project with you. So let's go ahead and jump in. First of all, I want to talk about medieval books in general. So in that period, the Middle Ages, books were made like armor. And the reason they were made like armor is because they didn't have a whole lot of people who could read and write. So any books that were made to last. And they were made to last because only the important books got written, and they needed to last the generations. They needed to carry through time. And so medieval books were made using leather. They would have used wood covered in leather for the front cover and the back cover. There's several different types of binding from the era. I chose to keep it an open binding on the back here, mainly because I made my cover out of stoneware clay, which probably would have been pretty unheard of in that period, simply because, like I said, their books had to protect those pages. So they would have blacksmith metal pieces that go on the corners here in case the book was dropped. It would have protected the wood corners. It would have been entirely covered in leather. Or if it was just wood on the cover, it would have had leather straps like what you see here. I bound this as if it was a wooden cover that didn't have leather on it. So basically what would have happened is that these leather pieces in a medieval book would have been made of a thinner type vellum leather right here, and then the whole thing covered in a thicker leather. Since I opted to make mine out of ceramics because I am a ceramic artist and that's what I wanted to make. And so mine is this. However, that is not period accurate, just to make that clear. So what I tried to do that is somewhat period accurate is write this decoration, and this tooled leather decoration would have been something similar to this, only tooled into leather, right? The symbol on the front here is from medieval times. It's from the reign of Constantine. It is called Chi Rho. It's Greek, P and X for Christ. And then we have the Alpha, Omega, the beginning and the end. Now, I'm not going to dive too much into that, but if you want to look up Chi Rho, you want to look up Constantine, it's a lot of interesting history. So regardless of whether or not you're religious, so it's just interesting history. Anyway, pretty much this symbol was the symbol of the first church of Jesus, right, of Christ. And so that's what I opted to put on the front. I did put a bookmark. I bound the bookmark into the binding. And on the end here, let me zoom in on that. On the end here, I put a claw clasp so that I could switch out the charms if I wanted to. So I thought that was a good idea. Medieval books always had some sort of closure on them, again, to protect the pages in case the book dropped, or if it got put into a skin bag, or if it, was carried around from place to place. Like, it needed to protect whatever valuable information, whatever valuable written word was on the inside. So let's go ahead and just kind of look at this binding on it here real quick. Okay, here, I'll back up a little. The binding. Let me see if I can click on that to zoom it or to clear it. Okay, so you can see that the leather on the side here goes clear through the binding and then into the back, because the pages are sewn into the leather binding. Okay, and again, that was important for making sure that the binding, lasted forever. And many medieval books, they did last forever, and that's an amazing archaeological find that we have. So this is a proven bookbinding method for the long haul, right? Anyway, so let's go ahead and open it up. They all would have had a closure on them, probably not leather, but possibly leather, but more than likely it would have been a blacksmithed metal clasp on here. Okay, now listen to the sound of it. This is my favorite sound in new books. You can hear the glue moving the page as you open it. It's like a crackle already. Ooh, so pretty. Okay, so I don't know, you probably can't see this, but this is see if I can focus it. Yeah, see, I don't know if the camera picks it up very well, but the gold on this paper is metallic and shimmery. Probably can't see it very well. Anyway, it's beautiful in person. It's absolutely stunning. And this is a paper marbling. I believe it originated in Italy. I can't be 100% on that, but paper marbling was all over the world, so I don't know if we know exactly where it originated, but what I do know is that paper marbling was well known in Italy in the time and in the era, and is still today. And so I'm going to eventually marble my own papers for this. But for now, I purchased this one from Italy because I fell in love with it. It was so beautiful. It was the right colors that I wanted for my prayer journal. It just spoke to me, and I bought it. So this marbling paper I did not do myself. However, I am going to marble paper by myself real soon here. So I put in this little flap here, this little envelope from a page of Exodius. I made it. Sorry. And it just has like these two little pockets. It's still cracking and creaking because it also has fresh glue on it. There's two little pockets in there for me to store things. Like I said, I'm kind of writing this just as a self-reflection on our family and prayers that I have for my children. And so I just want to have a little place to store little things that are important to us in there. The next cover here, or the next book page here, I was attempting to make the artwork similar to that of the period, which would have been obviously the early church art. I'm sure you've seen it before. We even see it sometimes similar in church windows and the stained glass and in art of the era. And anyway, it usually depicts Mother Mary and Jesus and the halo. And we've got angels up above here looking down, beautiful scrolls all around the outside. The lettering itself is very much so not medieval. Simply because when I was doing this, I was kind of doing it pretty quickly and wasn't putting that much thought into it. And I didn't really want to pull out my ink pens. So I didn't do it in a traditional medieval style. I just did it with a paint pen. And but if I had to do it again, like I said, if I had to do this book again, I would take a lot more time now that I know that it works, and now that I know how well it came together, and that it's going to be okay, that the cover, while it is stoneware, it is also sturdy enough. I mean, I've been hauling this thing around in my purse for a couple weeks now, and I have no chipping, no... Obviously, if you drop it on the floor, I mean, it could break, right? So I just wanted to make sure that this was even going to work before I put a ton of time and effort and energy into it. Now that I know that it is going to work for like a type of book that isn't really intended to be carried around, it's just like, this would be like the type of book you would use to keep memories, you know, like a book that's just gonna stay in your house, that just you are gonna look at. Like, it's not like you're gonna take turn this book into your bullet journal and carry it with you everywhere. And right, like, I wouldn't do that with this. But for something that's just for you, that's just gonna stay at home, that's just for record keeping or keepsaking, whatever, I think that this is gonna work out just fine. And since I know that now, I will I will take more time and consideration in making the next one. So anyway, there's things I would do differently next time, and I've learned those things as I went here. The paper on the inside is, I think it's 220 GSM. It's super thick. I don't know if you can tell or see how thick it is, but it's super thick, you know. And it's acid-free, archival quality, you know, just really great paper. All mediums, like you could use all mediums with it. I didn't notice any bleed through with this really juicy paint pen I was using. The acid-free glue that I'm using, the PVC glue that I use to glue everything, definitely stuck well. It did kind of crinkle. I don't know if you can see this. Because I can't press this book the same way that you could other books, like I was a little afraid to put this in the press. I mean, maybe I could have put it in the press more. I don't know. I was just scared. Like, I really need to make one that is just for breaking so that I can see what it's capable of, right? So then I could press this even firmer without worrying about whether or not it's going to crack. Obviously, if you make a cover out of stoneware and it warps, you're not going to press it at all. It will crack. The front cover and the back cover of this, I painstakingly made sure didn't warp at all. So, and that was a painstaking, slow, weeks kind of process to make sure that these were perfectly flat so that I could put it in a press a little bit. I probably could have pressed it more, but gosh, that would have really stunk if it did crack. So I didn't push it to the limit, but I should make one that I can crack just to see what that limit is, you know. Anyway, the point is that because I couldn't press it the way you would other books, we did get some wrinkling down here where the PVA glue went on to the end papers, the marble paper. Isn't it beautiful? So, and then that was the other thing, like on the back cover, the marble paper is facing that way, and on the front cover, the marble paper is facing the other way. Those are like the little mistakes that I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna pay better attention to that next time. Not that it makes any difference, but those are like the sorts of corrections that I would make. Anyway, the book had to be perfectly measured because I knew that I wanted to use this paper. This was the pad of paper I wanted. I knew that this was the size of the paper, and so the cover of the book had to match the size of the paper with a little bit of overhang here and here because I knew my binding was going to be open. I had to have that overhang right here at the end. I had to have an overhang at the front, and then I had to have a slight overhang at the top and bottom, right here and at the top, right? So, yeah, so the measuring, and because clay shrinks, this clay particular shrinks at 11%. Because of that, the measurements for all of these bits and pieces had to be just spot on. I mean, this book cover was a process. I mean, you would think that, you know, just a wooden book cover and having to carve out all of those pieces to make things flush and to make it work would be difficult, but add in the fact that you have to have it fit your paper with an 11% shrinkage rate. I mean, and your cover can't warp. It was a painstaking process. So the point that I'm trying to make here is that if you want me to make you a custom special commission journal, I am completely open to that. I would love to do that for you. You can contact me on my website at www.nostalgicceramics.com, or my email. I'll leave it down here at the bottom. And let me know. However, the price is going to reflect the work and effort and energy that went into making this. And it is an heirloom quality piece. So again, I really wanted to ensure that this was something that I could, if I wanted to, not saying that I'm going to, but if I wanted to, I could leave to my kids. So the only other thing left that I did was did this antiquing kind of gold on the page edges here. And I liked the way that the page cut. I mean, it wasn't perfect because I don't have all of the tools for bookbinding that true bookbinders have. So I just did the best that I could with what I had. And in the end, I actually like it more because to me, it just feels more antique. It worked, I like it, and it's staying. So anyway, I hope this video is not too long. Please leave nice comments that are not related to religion at all. I am not responding to religious comments at all. So, but if you have comments pertaining to the journal, or if you have questions about the journal, or if you have thoughts you want to share about the journal, I would love to hear those comments in the video, or in the section down below. So I hope the video is not too long. I hope you enjoyed it. I can give a little bit more of a history if people are interested, dates, times, whatever. If you want to learn more, I've got information for you. So just reach out, say hello, ask questions about the journal, and I'll catch you in the next video.